Actually, recently there was some sort of talk with like players and with FIDE, and the basis of the talk was the FIDE circuit, what can be improved, and the one of the main questions was, are ELO ratings accurate, and what to do about inactivity, which is definitely a question. It's not like it's not a player's fault if they're not, like, let's say they're retired, but they still do keep their. I mean, Gary is 28-12. He's still 28-12.
Yeah.
He might at some point be number one in the world, but of course, if he ever played again in classical chess, he's not going to keep his 28-12. But it's not his fault. He retired and he just keeps his rating, right? So yeah, inactivity will lead to some sort of, yeah, you could say inaccurate ratings. I mean,
Also not playing fighting chess. That falls into the
okay,
fair play
that's the
criteria.
organizer's discretion.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. Previously, you could have called it completely objective, the setting in which the players were picked. Right now, there's a bit of subjectivity to it, which is, I think, a good thing.
Sure. Yeah. Well, I thought the people who were saying Arjun doesn't get invitations was just, I didn't really understand the argument. I mean, he obviously gets invitations, and he'll get more in the future, and he deserves them. But like, it's not like some conspiracy against him. It's just because his rating at the time of invitations was a bit lower. Now it's super high, but he got the invitations based on what his rating was, which is like he got invitations to those 2,700 average rating tournaments. But now that his rating is 2,750 plus, he'll get invitations to the 2,750 plus
Yep.
tournaments, and that's just how. Yeah, that's what you'd expect, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, he's doing really well. He's also one of the his two main favorites for the FIDE circuit, I'd say at this point. It's Arjun, it's Noterbeck. Probably Noterbeck is a slight favorite, just based on he's had like the higher top performances, I think. But the FIDE circuit is. There should be some changes. There might be some changes next year.
Some changes.
But there should be some changes, because I think the way that they calculate averages needs to be improved a bit. Like we've already mentioned, calculating top 8 average for an open tournament doesn't lead to something which is indicative of the strength of the tournament or who you're playing. What I suggested to them was maybe take the average rating of your opponents and then calculate the FIDE circuit points based off who you play. So if you play 2,500 average and you get first place, then you get, let's say, 15 points. But if you play 2,600 average and you get first place, then maybe you get 18 points. Something along those lines, which is maybe also not a perfect idea, but yeah, that was one of the discussion topics.
Was there any consensus?
Yeah, there was consensus on a few things. I think one was that the Norway Chess, a tournament like that, should probably be counted. And I think the other consensus was that I think also like Noterbeck raised the point that having to play 2 open tournaments is maybe not necessary. Like why do you have to play 2 open tournaments? Because the system, at least in the chess world now, is that open tournaments don't really offer much financial incentive. Some offer a little bit, but not really. One of the ideas suggested by someone was that, I think it was an arbiter who suggested it, basically it was to follow, I think, golf system, where let's say you play 10 tournaments, but to counteract the fact that playing a huge amount will give you better odds, if you play over a certain amount, then the previous result will get replaced by a later result. So let's say if the maximum is 12 events, then if you play a 13th event, then you risk that your, let's say, good result at the start of the year would be replaced by whatever happens in the 13th event. But then I think I suggested that this would be maybe unfair, because then a player might have to decide, like let's say I won Vikensay.
Playing, basically.
Yeah, like I won Vikensay in the start of the year, so I got, I don't know, 20 points, whatever. And now I get invited to a tournament which offers me good conditions at the end of the year, and now I have to decide, should I risk the FIDE circuit points, or should I just sacrifice the money?
can you just say before you start the tournament, I'm not going to count this as my points?
Well, then that would just like.
To have the choice. I can count it or I can not count it.
I think it would be overly complicated because then FIDE would have like a bunch of people just sending in
Yeah.
requests, and
Yeah.
then they would have to do all this extra work.
Yeah.
And then people would also say this is not fair.
It's not a perfect system. for
So
sure.
yeah, I thought, okay, it's an idea, but I think the system, the economic system in chess doesn't really, like a lot of chess players, they do struggle to make a living, and they do it mostly by playing tournaments, and then you, at some point, have to like give them a choice between making money or maybe qualifying for candidates. It's not really a fair choice to give someone who shouldn't have to sacrifice money, right?
Yeah.